Welcome to another episode of A Man's Voice. I am your host, Michael Kimbrew, and on today's show, we have a very, very special guest, the one and only Mr. Freeway, Ricky Ross. Freeway Rick is a street legend and American and hip-hop cultural icon. For those of you that don't know, Freeway Rick was one of the biggest cocaine dealers in the history of the United States of America. At his height, he was making over $3 million a day selling cocaine on the streets of South Central Los Angeles. He was distributing cocaine for the Nicaraguan government with the help of the American government tied in with the CIA, which unfortunately led to the introduction of crack cocaine into the black communities all across America. Additionally, Ross's influence extended into the hip-hop culture, where his name became synonymous with the street credibility and the lure of the hustler's lifestyle, inspiring numerous rap artists to incorporate his story into their lyrics. One such being the Miami-based hip-hop artist who goes by the name Rick Ross, but whose real name is William Roberts. Mr. Roberts made millions of dollars by falsely portraying Freeway Rick's actual lifestyle and not giving him even $1 in compensation for the use of his name and likeness. Unfortunately, in 1996, the real Freeway Rick was sentenced to life in prison. He taught himself how to read and write while in prison and ended up beating his case on appeal. Despite his criminal background, Ross has since turned his life around, becoming an advocate for education and social change within the urban community. Please enjoy my sit-down conversation with the real Freeway Ricky Ross. How you doing, Freeway?
Man, I'm good.
How you doing, my brother? Good to see you, man. Always a pleasure, man.
Always.
Thanks for sitting down and chopping up with me for a minute,
You already know.
Oh, good. So for those of you who don't know who he is, this is the legendary Rick Ross. Not the rapper, but the real Rick Ross. This is the guy the rapper got his name from. He has a very interesting story, so we're gonna just dive right into it and just go right in on it. Rick, how you feeling, my brother? You good?
And I'm feeling good. You know, been out today passing out flyers to my dispensary, you know, trying to get it going. It's crazy. We're in the same area almost as my dispensary. Right.
And how's that? How's being in the marijuana business now? How's that going for you?
It's been rough, man. You know, it's a crowded business. You know, they gave out a lot of new licenses, which is a good thing. You know, competition is good. But when you go into it and you underfund it, it makes it really tough for you.
Right. And you got a lot of merchandise. As you can see, I'm wearing his shirt. So if you guys are in LA, go to his spot. Make sure you purchase his merchandise.
Yeah,
it's really some nice stuff.
Even if you don't smoke, you can go there, get the sweatshirts, the t-shirts, the books. All my stuff is at my spot.
That's right. There you go. So let's dive into the history of the great Freeway Rick Ross. So I'm just gonna break it down for those who don't know. So Rick Ross was one of the biggest drug dealers in the history of Los Angeles, and some would say in the history of the game. We're gonna start with 1979. So we're gonna go with 1979 as a year. In 1979, you're a senior in high school, right?
Yeah, well, I finished high school then. Well, I was supposed to finish, but I dropped out in 78.
78.
Yeah, after I dropped out of high school, I started stealing cars and, you know, hanging out in the streets, stuff like that there. And then eventually around 79, end of 79, I found cocaine.
Okay. Now let's talk about that. So how did you get introduced to the cocaine game? From what I read that one of your friends, Michael, introduced you to your first gram, right?
Well, you know, I like to say that my first experience with cocaine was a movie called Superfly.
Right.
That's where I got my first experience with cocaine. You know, I saw it for the first time I ever heard about cocaine. I'd never heard about cocaine before. You know, I'm a square. Right. I was a square.
You were a tennis player. You played tennis player.
I didn't even know about it. Had never saw weed before, had never took a drink, had never smoked.
And how old are you at this time? How old are you in 79? You what, 18, 17 years old?
19 years old.
19 years old. So you never smoked, didn't know nothing about it, 19.
No, I was anti-drugs, anti-drinking.
You're an athlete, yeah. You're an athlete, yeah.
I'm trying to go pro. I'm trying to get my family out the ghetto through tennis.
Right.
At that time, I never saw it. The only time I saw and heard of cocaine was on the movie Superfly.
Right. So explain to me, so the story goes, you had a friend named Michael, right? Your homeboy Michael, and he gave you, your first time getting some coke was a gram. That was the first thing he ever gave you, right?
That might not have been a gram.
A little less than a gram.
Probably less than a gram. It was a $50 piece. Back then, out of a gram, you could get anywhere from 300 to 350 out of a gram of cocaine. Okay. So it probably was more about maybe 0.2 of a gram.
Okay. Okay. And did you buy it from Mike, or did he just front it to you?
He fronted it to me.
He fronted. So you owed him. You owed Mike.
Yeah. I started off in debt.
Okay, you started off in debt. Right. Now, was it hard for you to sell that first gram? We're talking 1979, 1980.
I didn't sell it, man. My man Martin worked me out of it. Martin still owed me for that gram. Martin, you still alive? You still owe me that money.
Yeah.
Give me my money.
Right. So you didn't pay Mike. You didn't pay Mike for the gram.
No, I didn't pay him then.
Right. Eventually, you ended up.
Eventually, Mike got paid. Mike was arrested with me on my case.
Oh, okay.
Where I got the life sentence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was on that case with me.
Okay.
So
y'all were friends. Y'all was homeboys for a minute.
Yeah, we were like brothers. He was like a big brother to me.
Okay, right.
He was a few years older than I was.
Now, was he already in the dope game? Was he already hustling?
I don't think so. Mike was a painter by trade and played football. But he, everybody kind of wanted to be a dope dealer.
Right.
Everybody in the hood wanted to have some dope background. Dope boys had everything. They had all the cars, they had the women. So I imagine that he had some admiration to be a drug dealer. Even before he actually became one. Because he tried to dress slick like a pimp sometimes. When he dressed up, when he wasn't working on cars, he put on some slick shoes.
So his main hustle was working on cars and kind of like selling drugs as a side hustle, kind of?
Well, that became a side hustle. Working on cars was tough.
Yeah.
You make a little money here today, and then you might not make no money for 4 or 5 days. So that's a tough business to be into. And he was doing custom car work.
Okay.
Those really, well, now they're not expensive paint jobs, but back then $1,000 paint job was a lot of money.
That was a lot of money in 1980s.
Yeah. So he was doing custom paint work, so he didn't get that much work. So he needed a way to subsidize. That's why he went back to college to play football. Right. Still trying to figure out a way to do better than what he was doing at the body shop. And when he went back to college is when he discovered cocaine. Well, when I found out that he discovered cocaine.
Right. Okay. So he gives you this gram, and from what you were selling to pimps. Your first customers were pimps, right?
Martin was a pimp.
Oh, Martin was a pimp. Okay.
Yeah, Martin was a pimp.
Okay. Because I take it in South Central, you were close to Figueroa, right?
I stayed on Figueroa.
You stayed on Figueroa. And for those who don't know, that's a very popular host stroll in Los Angeles. And it has been for years. 40 years. It's the main host stroll. The main host stroll, yeah. So you got, even to this day, you right up there now, it's prostitutes all up and down.
All down the street.
All down. So back then, there was a lot of pimps. So you knew a lot of the pimps because you lived
I lived
on
there.
Figueroa.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you got your first cocaine. So
you know their cars, oh, look at that one there. That looked like Superfly.
Right.
They come with the big grills, and they was looking like Superfly.
Right, and back then the only people that had money in the community was the pimps and the drug dealers, right?
Yeah.
That had real money back then.
Yeah, it's still probably like that today.
Probably is. Yeah, it is still like that today. Yes, it is. Yeah.
I tell when I go to speak at the schools, I try to get people to understand why young black men have such a fascination with drug dealing. Because, if you listen to rap music, that's all they talk about.
Yes.
And that's because the first entrepreneurs that most of us see in our community is a drug dealer.
Yes.
And most of the rappers probably got their first studio session
paid for by
a drug dealer. Yeah, so.
Yes, it's kind of the only viable source of income in the community, especially back then, was to be a pimp or to be a drug dealer, right?
Yeah, it's a little better now, I believe, with the internet, giving up game and I know they took off the red lines. When I was coming up, they had red lines in certain areas where the banks wouldn't loan money. And now I think they took a lot of that stuff off because of racism. You can't discriminate. But back then it was a different era.
Right. So at this point, you were out of high school. You didn't really have any money to kind of further your tennis career, right? So that's kind of why you stopped your tennis career, because you had to go to tournaments and stuff, and they cost money. It's an expensive sport.
Rackets, tennis shoes, clothes, tournament fees, food.
Right.
It done been time I'll be on the tennis court hungry. Didn't have nothing to eat.
Right.
So all that stuff play a factor in your ability to continue down that lane.
Right. So how much were you buying from Mike after he gave you that 1 gram? Was he your first supply? So that's the first person you was getting your work from?
Yeah, I probably got up to maybe a 7th with Mike, 7 grams.
Okay.
Before,
so that was the most you got from Mike before you switched over
before I was able to
go to somebody else,
somebody that was a little better.
Right.
Yeah, Mike, he was. I mean, for the time he was good. You know, but he wasn't. he wasn't growing.
Okay.
You know, I was growing in the business. You
Right.
know, I was taking my money, pooling my money back into what I was doing. You know, I wasn't going to stay at 7 grams. You know, I wasn't going to stay at a half ounce. I wasn't going to stay at.
So you knew you were going to grow. You knew you were going to grow in this business.
I wanted to.
Did you go into the business thinking, hey, I want to grow and get out, or was you just like, I just trying to buy some kicks, right? And I'm just trying to get my car fixed. Did you have a long-term goal?
I went in there to get my car fixed. I wanted to get some Dayton rims for my car. Mm-hmm. At that time, Dayton's was like $3,000 a set.
Yeah, what kind of car did you have back then?
I had a '66 convertible. Okay. I wanted to get the money so I could finish paying Mike for the paint job.
Right.
I started working on the interior, and I figured I need like $5,000.
So that was your goal, 5 Gs.
Yeah, 5 Gs was my goal, and then I was just gonna live. I was just gonna live in my mom's garage for the rest of my life.
Be set.
I was gonna be good, you know, have a fly car, and just be cool.
So wow. So you went way further than that, obviously, in life.
Yeah. Well, you know, one thing you know about the dope game when you practicing it properly, because you know you can practice the dope game. And when I say practice the dope game, how you doing your business, how you take care of your business, you can do it, and if you don't do it right, you're not gonna get the results.
Exactly. So at what point did you get? So we were talking grams now. What point did you get to ounces? Like how long was you in the game before you were scoring ounces?
It took me a couple months
to build your clientele up to you copping ounces.
Well, clientele and for me to know, you know, like I didn't really know what an ounce was.
Right.
You know, I didn't know what an 8 was. You know, like. Right.
So to figure it all out, to just learn the game, it took you a while.
Took me about 4 months. You know, while I'm doing that, because you know when I first started, we go a week and make $20. You know.
Right, and you was cool. That was cool for back then.
For me, because I was flat broke.
Right.
You know, I didn't have nothing. You know, so you know you make $20, you can squeeze you a Taco Pete burrito in there. You know, for
that was
$1.
Good enough. Yeah, you was good.
You know what I'm saying? You get you a $1 burrito. Like, ooh, I got me a Taco Pete burrito this week.
Right.
You know?
Right. So 4 months in, you start to cop ounces now. So after hustling, doing it for like 4 months, now you're able to purchase an ounce. How much was an ounce? Your first ounce? How much did you pay for that?
$3,200.
What was this? 1981, 82? What are we talking?
Probably like 80.
So 1980.
Yeah.
There wasn't really a crack market then yet. The crack market hadn't really.
Well, we didn't call it. We never called it crack.
Called it Ready Rock.
Man, we called it Ready
Y'all
Rock.
called it Ready Rock back then.
The government called it crack. We called it Ready Rock.
Right.
But like you said, in the beginning, it was all powder. You know, and then people was shaking it up, cooking it themselves. We call it shaking it up because you put it in the shaker bottle and put the heat to it and shake it. Right. So we was calling it shaking it up. It took a while, you know, before I started doing what we call Ready Rock.
Right.
You know, because people would come over early in the morning and they'd be like, damn, I ain't got my cooking utensils. You got a bottle, you got a torch, you got some rum, so they could cook it up. And then, you know, I just thought one day, like, shit, why not already have it cooked up for them?
Right.
And what was happening is that a lot of people was getting in it. And like me, when I first got in, I was scared to cook it because I was worried about messing it up. So I didn't really want to cook. I would always pay people to cook for me. You know, like I would get an 8 and I would pay somebody $50 to cook it up. So they was taking a lot of money out of my 8. Even out of 8, you make $900, maybe $1,100. Sometimes you could cut, you know, that much out of it. But you figure they taking $50 right off the bat just for cooking it.
Right.
Like, damn.
So if you could just do that yourself and just save that $50.
Yeah. So
now, who came up with that idea? Who was the first person you know of to put baking soda with cocaine to make crack? Do you know where that idea came from? Who's the first person to do that?
No, I don't know who the first person I ever saw was a guy named Stefan.
Okay.
Yeah, he
L.A. in California.
In California, and he showed me how to cook it.
Right.
Well, let me take that back. Martin is the first person I ever seen cook. The guy that I was telling you, the pimp. He was the first person I ever seen cook, but it was so much I didn't remember nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
The complexity of it. You didn't know the complexity. I didn't remember.
Yeah, it was like he was pulling stuff out the bag and wrapping cotton around clothes hangers and pouring rum in the bottles.
Right.
And
So it's kind of complicated a little
then
bit.
got a car and he mixing baking soda and cocaine. I'm like, man.
Right. What was the difference? The word freebasing I heard a lot. Was that freebasing and Ready Rock? Was that the same?
Well, you know what freebasing means?
What is freebasing?
Somebody who bases for free. Meaning that if I got some money and I'm going to smoke some cocaine, and you smoke with me, you basing for free.
Oh, so that's what freebasing was. Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was reading a story about Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor set himself on fire in 1980 around that same time. And in the article it said he was freebasing. So that's what kind of threw me off. Like, what did that mean, freebasing?
Well, they don't understand what freebasing really means.
Right.
You know, that's like the general public. They thought that because he had all the stuff on the table, all the chemicals, he was ether basing. That's what he was really doing. He was ether basing, not freebasing.
So he wasn't smoking coke, he wasn't smoking Ready Rock.
Well, it's kind of the same thing, but he wasn't doing it for free.
Right.
So you can't call him a freebaser.
Right. So that was just the term that the government basically just came up with, freebasing.
Well, they heard the word probably. You know, they heard people. You know, because people used to say all the time, "You a freebaser."
Right.
You know, like dude get mad at something. You know, two dudes together, a dude and his bride and somebody, and be like, "You freebaser." You just a freebaser.
Right.
So a lot of people didn't understand that terminology. You know, the terminology was you basing and you ain't got no money.
So that's what freebasing. Okay.
That's what freebasing means.
That's what it means. Yeah.
You basing without money.
Right. Smoking without money.
Yeah, you smoking without money. So
Yeah.
when the government get a hold of stuff, they take
They
put their own twist on it.
Yeah.
But that's where the word freebasing come from.
Okay.
People who basing with no money.
Okay, so in 80, 81, you still selling Ready Rock. You still selling rocks, or you selling cocaine powder?
I sell both.
You doing both of them?
Yeah. I probably stopped selling powder around 84.
Oh, okay.
Because people got so into the rock that nobody really wanted powder no more. They all wanted it already cooked up.
Right. And was you ever on the block on the corner with the rocks selling straight rocks? Or was you
I
always
did that. Run up the cars.
So you was running up the cars.
I used to run up the cars
when you first started out.
Yeah, probably. I probably ran up the cars for about 2 months.
Okay.
I didn't stay on the street long because remember I was stacking my money.
Yeah.
And when that block that I went on, it started cracking really fast.
That was 77th, right?
81st.
81st Street. Okay.
81st Street.
In Vermont, right?
Yep.
81st in Vermont. Right.
79th was the first apartment I ever got. That was my first rock house that I owned myself. You know, I used to be using other people's houses as my rock house, but you know, it wasn't like having your own spot.
So your own spot was on 79th. That was your first own crack house, basically.
Yeah.
On 79th. Okay.
Yeah.
But before that, you were just on the block selling rocks out the block.
Yeah, and then going into other people's houses, you know, using people's houses, you know, hey, here $100 for the day.
Right.
You know, I should do that
Right.
and just use their crib for whatever I was gonna do, you know. But I only stayed on the block about 81st. I stayed on 81st about 2 months maybe.
Serving to the cars.
Running up to the cars.
Running up to the
you know,
cars.
like I would run up to the cars and Ollie would be standing back on the side with the pistol, you know, watching my back. And I would serve because, you know, 81st was dangerous. This was like the Hoover hangout.
Yes, I was saying that's Hoover. That's the Hoover
Yeah,
hangout.
this is where all the Hoovers hung out at. This was like their main little track where, you know, they wasn't really selling dope or nothing. They was just
gangbanging
over there, smoking Sherman.
They never gave you any problem? They never tried to sweat you?
They would sweat me, but you know, I buy them a couple sticks of Sherm, get them some 8 ounce, 40 ounce, that old English 800.
Right.
You know,
right.
they be all right.
Did you put them on? Did you give them some work and show them how to get money?
I did. But you know, it'd be hard to put people on, you know. You wish you could put everybody on,
right?
But everybody don't want to be on,
right?
You know, they say they do,
right?
But their actions don't. You know, dudes hitting the Sherman stick, talking about, man, I'm gonna get with you tomorrow. I want to get started. You know, he bullshitting.
Yeah, it's hard to really get money when, especially smoking Sherm. It's hard to really be a good focus on getting your money when you smoke Sherm.
Well, even being a drunk.
Yeah, or a drunk. Yeah, any sort of substance. Because in that game, you got to have your mind. Your mind got to be on point.
You want to be on your mind on any game that you go in.
That is true. That is true.
My tennis coach told me one time. He said if you had a horse running the Kentucky Derby, would you get him high drunk
before
the race?
Right. No, you would not.
And they say no. And then he came back and said, well, you running the greatest race that could ever be ran. And I was like, huh? Like, you running the race of your life. So we should treasure our life much greater than we treasure a Kentucky Derby win, by a horse.
Right.
Our life is that important, or it should be that important to us, but we don't really take it as serious as we should.
As that. Yeah. So this is so now we're still in like 81, 82. You got your first dope house on your apartment, your first crack house on 79th Street. And it's booming. You making money.
That place started making so much money. That place used to do 50,000, 100,000.
On straight rocks, selling dime rocks, or was you selling?
No, we didn't sell dimes.
Oh,
back then nobody sold dimes.
What was y'all selling back then? What was they going?
50s and 100s.
50. So the smokers would come through, spend 50, get a $50 rock. That's what they did.
Or 100.
Or $100 rock. So it wasn't no $10 rocks back then.
No, you better not come to me talking about no $10. What am I do with $10, man? Get out of here.
So even at 50, it was people had 50 to spend back then. Like it was.
Well, you got to look. It was kind of a different time, and people would drive, to get cocaine. They come from Riverside, Palmdale. They would drive 100 miles. You figure like this here. If you can't get cocaine in San Diego,
you'll drive to LA.
You drive to LA and get it.
Right.
Plus, you drive to LA, you spend 100, you get back to San Diego, it's worth 200.
200, yeah. So you can double your money.
So you can double your money. Now you got your little trade, a little hustle.
Right. So you had people coming to you that weren't just smokers. You had people coming to buy to you.
No, my spots turned into what they call double up spots.
It was a double ups. Yeah, double up.
Where they would come there. And even, when I was in jail, guys were telling me stories that I never thought about, that they would come to my spot sometime and triple their money. Spend $50,
make 150,
and go back and make 150. Go to Riverside and make $150, or take it to Texas and
and quadruple
make three times
that.
Yeah, Chicago,
four times that.
Yeah. So it had become, my spots had become like a hustle, like a come up spot.
Okay. And where was you getting your work from at that point when you had your dope house? Was you still getting it from Mike, or had you already moved on to a new connect?
I moved on from Mike fairly quick. Like I said, we only got about, I think the biggest I got from Mike was a 7, maybe a half ounce.
Okay.
Maybe a half ounce. It didn't take me long to get up to a half ounce either.
Okay. And that's when, so let's go to the point where you meet with Danilo Blandon for the first time. So you go.
Well, I didn't meet the Blandon until later, probably like.
Yeah, how long was you hustling before you got to meet Blandon?
Probably like 4 or 5 years.
Oh, so you was in the game deep before you met Blandon. You was already getting it. You was already doing good for yourself.
I had money.
Yeah, you had money. By the time you met Blandon, you was already up.
Was I a millionaire then? I might have already been. I know I had $400,000 or $500,000 when I met him.
Okay, so you was already up by the time you met Blandon.
Yeah.
So Blandon didn't put you on, because that's a lot of people think that Blandon is the one that put you on. You was already on by the time you met him.
No, he didn't put me. To be honest, I put myself on.
Exactly.
I learned how to control the connections. With money. You can control them with the money. Like, say for instance, like with like I said with Mike, when I got up to a half ounce, Mike couldn't handle a half ounce. I was too big for him.
Right.
So the only way that he could continue to be involved with what I was doing was take me to his connection.
Right.
Or I just give him my money and he go get it.
He go get it for you and come back.
Bring it back. And we did that a few times, when then it got to the point where I was like, I ain't got to do that no more. I got my own connections. I got people that when I hand them my money, they hand me my dope right there on the spot. So I ain't doing that. So as you get bigger, your connections, if they don't grow along with you, then you jump over.
You jump over to another connection.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about your meeting with Blandon. So you used to do upholstery work, right? You were doing upholstery work. So the guy who you worked for at the upholstery dealer, you just went to him one day and hollered at him like, "I'm hustling now," and he was like, "Hey, I got a guy you need to meet." So he calls Blandon.
No, he didn't introduce me to Blandon. He introduced me to a
Charlie,
guy.
Was it?
No, Ivan.
So he introduced you to Ivan, which is Blandon homeboy though, right?
They homies.
They homies, yeah. And just for those who I'm explaining to you who Blandon is. Blandon is from Nicaragua. He was in the Nicaraguan government, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Minister of Agriculture.
The Minister of Agriculture for Nicaragua, right? And there was a revolution
Right.
And they had to leave Nicaragua.
They got throughout their country.
They got throughout the country. So just for the audience to understand, that's the equivalent. Let's say if Barack Obama, when he was president, he had a cabinet, and his cabinet was Hillary Clinton, Eric Holder. There's a lot of cabinet members. So imagine Donald Trump coming in office and kicking Obama and his entire cabinet out of America. So that's kind of like what happened in Nicaragua. The leaders got kicked out of that country, right?
Or threatened to kill them. If they would have stayed, they would have got killed.
Right, and they ended up in Los Angeles.
Well, they was backed by the U.S. The CIA was backing Danilo and them.
Oh, wow.
They was part of the CIA army.
So America didn't want them to get kicked out of their country.
No, America wanted them to win the war.
To win the war. They wanted them to win. So that, okay.
The Sandinistas was backed by Russia.
Right.
Kind of like what's going on right now over in
Ukraine?
In Ukraine.
Yeah.
But instead of what's happening in Ukraine, Russia's fighting directly. But in Nicaragua, Russia wasn't fighting, nor the U.S. wasn't fighting. It was the Sandinistas and the Contras. The Contras was being backed by America. The Sandinistas was being backed by Russia.
Got it.
Russia was giving the Sandinistas more money than America was giving the Contras. Because, you know, the Contras did some low-down stuff. I think they had killed some nuns or something and raped them or something like that there, some of their army. And it hit the press. And Congress was like, oh, no, we're not backing them no more. You know, if they're out there raping women and doing all that, we're not giving them our dollars.
Right.
So they pulled the money back. So now Reagan and George Bush Sr. and Oliver North, they needed ways to get them money because they was going to lose this war if they don't get no money. Just like right now, Ukraine is crying about, we need money.
We begging for money. Yeah, begging for money right now.
So it was the same thing there. If they don't get that money, you can't fight the war. So...
And the American government wouldn't give them the money, so they had to find another alternative to
Congress,
get the money.
They don't give them no more money.
Congress won't give them no more money, so they had to find another way.
They had to find another way.
So they became
So they need a way, though. Now they got to find a way that they can give them the money without Congress finding out they giving them money.
Secretly, yeah. Covertly, yeah.
Yeah, because now you can't give them money no more.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It would be like, remember when Farrakhan, Gaddafi, I think, offered Farrakhan $1 billion. And they told him he can't take it because he was on their list.
Right.
So now you can't give money to Gaddafi either.
Right.
Because he on that list. Well, the Contras was on that list, and you technically can't give them money.
Yeah.
So they wanted to give them money that couldn't be traced and that nobody could identify that they was getting.
Right. No, the revolution was 1979. What year did you meet Blandon? We're talking this 84 now, 83? When did you meet him?
Yeah, I met Blandon probably around 84.
Okay, so he had already been in America like 4 years before you met him.
Yeah. Well, and let me say this too. We had been getting drugs from him, but not directly from him.
Not directly. Got it. How was you getting them from him?
Through Ivan and Henry.
Oh, okay. Through his homies. Through his homies.
Right.
Okay, all right. So through his crew. You was getting it through his crew.
It was his crew, but it wasn't him.
It wasn't him directly.
No.
Right.
But after Henry came to me and was like, I want to sell you the connection. You know, I paid $60,000 for
so you paid Henry $60,000 to introduce you to Blandon.
Correct.
So before that, you was just scoring straight from Henry. That's who you was a person from.
Right.
Are you buying keys at this point, or you still buying ounces?
Buying keys.
So you buying kilos at this time. Do you remember how much was your first key? You remember how much you paid for that first one?
The first one, like $48,000.
And you bought that from Henry?
Ivan.
Bought it from Ivan. Yeah. You bought that from Ivan.
Yeah, Ivan.
Wow, $48,000.
Henry was Ivan's sidekick, right? Now, Danilo, I believe, is married to Henry's sister. Something like that. They always
they all connected. Yeah, they all kind of
So Ivan got shot in the back and got paralyzed, and Henry took over.
Okay.
So that's how he was able to sell the plug.
Right.
No, Ivan had a fit when he found out he sold
the
plug for $60,000. He sold you that for $60,000.
Now, on a $48,000 kilo, how much would you make off of that? How you doing? You selling ounces?
Probably $200,000.
Wow, so more than tripling, quadrupling your money, basically.
Oh yeah. We used to make some money off of. A gram at one time was $200 for a gram.
Right, and just for the audience, so y'all know, a kilo is 36 ounces of cocaine. So,
correct. So
you spent $48,000. You now have 36 individual ounces of cocaine. and each ounce is 28 grams, right? So it's 28 grams in there. So if 1 gram is 200, do the math, times 28. So that's what you're making off each ounce.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
And the kilo is 1,000 grams.
It's 1,000 grams. So I didn't know that. How long did it take you to move that first key you bought?
That might have took 2 weeks.
2 weeks to get it off. And then you came right back. Now you got 200,000. You're up 240,000. So now you can cop 5 kilos.
3 or 4.
3 or 4 of them at this point.
Not spend everything, but damn near everything.
And you never really spent money. You always reinvested back in your business. You weren't a flashy guy.
I think that's the way that you should live. You know, in one of my favorite books, it says that you should live off of 10% of what. No, it said that you should save 10% and live off 90%. But I always tried to live off of 10% and save 90, right. Or reinvest the 90, because I learned about what they call in the business term compound interest.
Yes.
I found out about compound interest, but I didn't call it compound interest. I found out that when I would go and buy an ounce of cocaine, I'd come out to the valley, buy an ounce of cocaine, and I would pay $2,000 for it, and I get back to LA and sell it for $2,400, just for picking it up here, driving it back to LA.
Right.
So for me, that was like, wow, your money working for you now. You buy enough of those, and you flip them, and your money has grown without you really doing any work.
Right. It was a misconception that people think you never got fronted. You always purchased your own work.
Yeah.
You never got credit. No one ever gave you consignment.
Only time I was supposed to get credit was this time when they set us up. When I got out of prison, I was broke.
The San Diego lick.
In San Diego.
The San Diego lick, you were supposed to get credit for that.
I mean, they didn't let me slide with 30,000. We doing a $3 million deal. I'm 30,000 short, and they
right, let you go on that.
We'll get that later.
Yeah. And as you know, but that's very rare. You got to know that, because most drug dealers, especially back in that era, were getting credit. That was a big thing.
Even now,
getting credit. So you never got credit.
Most people can't say their money.
Yeah. Most drug dealers I know, we all know, they'll make all that money, go to the club, make
not
it rain.
Not just drug dealers, just people. Period.
Yeah.
And really, people that look like us in the black community.
They don't know how to save money.
It's terrible about saving money. We find all kind of things to spend our money on.
Material things, a lot of material things. Yeah, because you drove a station wagon right back then.
Yeah, I always bought buckets. I didn't really need no.
So you never got Lamborghinis, you never had the Rolls Royces, you never did that.
I didn't have people pawn, Ferraris and stuff like that. They owe me money, and they come and say, man, just hold my car for a couple months.
But that wasn't your thing. You wasn't going to the Lambo dealership, buying it off the lot, all that type of stuff.
No, I couldn't see myself doing that.
That wasn't
Well, I had a problem, right? They had created this task force called the Freeway
Task Force, yeah.
And these cops was crooked. And they were planning drugs. They was lying on search warrants and lying in court. So I figured, if I go buy a $200,000 car, I'm driving it, they're gonna say I had drugs in it.
Yeah.
And take the car from me.
Yeah, set you up. They're gonna
so
set you
why
up.
would I take a chance just for a couple seconds, so everybody can say, wow, look at Rick, for a couple seconds, and then, 3 or 4 months down the line, the cops gonna plant drugs in it and take it from me.
Right. Okay, so at what point here are you starting to go out of town? At what point did the LA market, you got that on lock, that you start going? I think St. Louis was one of the first cities you went in?
Well, what happened was people start coming from out of town.
To see you.
To see me.
Customers were coming to you.
Yep. So.
And what year we now? What year we in when you start?
83.
So around 83.
82, 83. My cousins came out. My cousins from Tyler came out.
Tyler, Texas.
Yeah.
To buy some kilos or to buy some ounces?
No. They didn't know nothing about cocaine.
Okay.
They came out. First their daddy came out. And, I showed him a good time. Took him out for dinner, and had a couple girls. For him. He older guy, so
right.
He liked them young girls.
right.
So I had a couple girls when he went back and told his sons, who were more my age. They're a couple years older than me. And they had a little money too. They was hauling trees down there. They had
taking weed, taking weed back and forth.
No, trees.
Like trees, like real trees.
Real trees. They was cutting out trees, hauling, for toilet paper and stuff like that. But they did good. Probably made about $10,000 a day doing that.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
So they came out. Their dad told them about my house and everything, and they came out and it was like, man, we want to get in. Brought a little money with them too.
Yeah.
So I sent them back on the airplane. I put them back on the airplane with 4 ounces.
No shit.
Yeah. I think ounces. I think I charged them like $2,500 a piece for the ounces.
Right.
So
So they bought the ounces, got on the plane, went back to Texas, Tyler, Texas.
They couldn't sell it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, they couldn't sell it.
Yeah.
So they called me. They're like, man, we can't sell this stuff. So I said, don't worry, I'm gonna come down there in about a week.
Oh. Okay.
So I go down there. I said, man, just take me to the club. So we go to the club, and I said, all we need is one customer. I said, who y'all know in here? And one of my other cousins on my father's side was there. And they was like, that's your cousin right there from your dad's side. And I called him over and showed him, and he was like, oh man, yeah, I do. And gave him a little snort right there on the spot. And
This was powder. This was straight powder. He snorted powder.
yeah, it was just powder.
Powder.
Then. And they was on their way. That was their first customer.
That was it. Wow, so your first out-of-town clientele was Texas, Tyler, Texas. That was the first market.
Yeah, it would have
you
been
sold
Texas.
Would have been Texas, yeah. And then we talk 83. We're in 83 right now.
Yeah, 83, maybe even 82. It was early.
Yeah. So at that point, so now your cousin's coming back buying more. So now you sending work to Tyler, Texas now? Okay, so that was the first market you really opened up was in Tyler, Texas.
Yeah, that was the second, my second market.
After Los Angeles, there was Tyler. Okay,
Yep.
So now 83, you got a little money now. Are you buying keys? Are you moving keys at this point? Or are you still in ounces?
I bought pounds for a long time. I didn't really know about keys. I was buying like 30 pounds. And then, Ivan was taking out the extra 4 ounces. That's how they made their extra money. So right. I took me a long time before I found out about kilos. I didn't know about kilos, man.
Right.
And then somebody put me up on kilos.
Was it easier then to go from ounces to kilos? Once you're moving kilos, is it easier to sell it then, or is it easier when you're selling the ounce?
It don't matter. I sold it ounce by ounce.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so it don't matter. I do 1 ounce. That's why I be, when I hear people talking about coming up, and it'd be like, yeah, you don't know what you're doing, because you can only move 1 ounce at a time. Unless you get a big customer that want a couple ounces. Yeah. But most of the time, you do 1 ounce at a time.
Right. What was your best year? What was your height? What would you say your best year was?
84, 85.
84, 85.
Yeah, 84, 85, 86. Right in that time, right before the Freeway Task Force really got hectic.
So from 84, 85, 86, you didn't really have the police, the feds wasn't on you? So you was kind of working?
Nobody messed with me. So
you was free and clear, you was just working. You ain't had nothing to worry about. You just stacking money. Wow.
The only way somebody went to jail was an accident. They did something stupid.
Yeah, because it wasn't on the radar of the feds that much at that point.
Right, the feds wasn't even bothered.
Wasn't involved with it.
And the cops even, if you watch my documentary, one of the cops that was who went to jail, for planting drugs and lying on the witness stand, he said at first they didn't even believe that we had money over there.
Oh yeah?
Nobody believed that it was that kind of money in South Central LA.
Right.
So it just wasn't looking for it.
Right. So you was able to basically fly under the radar for 3 or 4 years and just and you weren't out there busting your gun. You wasn't a troublemaker.
Oh no.
You weren't a troublemaker at all.
I didn't want to shoot no gun.
Yeah, you wasn't loud.
Only way I'm gonna shoot a gun in self-defense.
Right.
That's the only way I want to shoot a gun. I don't want to shoot a gun to prove no point to nobody or flexing up or nothing like that there. I didn't need to.
Right. Yeah, and I bet that played a lot too in your sentencing in the court, because they saw that you had no violence. There was no violence on your record, right?
No, none.
You had no violence at all.
None.
Yeah. So I imagine that played, and that I would imagine that helped a lot as far as you being a businessman in that game, because a lot of cats mess up by being shoot 'em up kids, and that brings more attention to you. You selling kilos, but yeah, you still busting your gun, so now you got attention. You wasn't moving like that.
No. So you don't want no cops. You want to keep cops as far away from the game as you can keep them.
It's possible. Yeah.
So no, I wouldn't have wanted no violence. No, nothing. Like even when I was doing really well, even when the gangs got into it, they would call me, and I would be able to go over and squash beefs and stuff like that with different sets.
Got it. Now, where'd you catch your first case? What was your first time going to jail? For cocaine, for selling drugs?
When did I go to jail the first time for selling cocaine? St. Louis.
That was your first case. You caught a case. What happened? What happened in St. Louis?
I was moving to St. Louis, right? St. Louis, I was getting keys probably for like $12,000 out here. In St. Louis, they was like 64.
So you're making a $50,000 profit off of each kilo you moved in St. Louis. So you ought to move there too, yeah.
So I was moving to St. Louis. I was getting my apartment and everything. But while I was doing that, I was living with one of my partners and his family. So while I'm in St. Louis, the cops raid my girl house here in LA and take her to jail, which shouldn't have been no dope. Wasn't no dope at her house. And she called me. I mean, she don't call me, but they call me. Hey, the cops at the house. Ooh. And it was crazy because I had 50 kilos parked in a car right down the street from her house, right?
Oh, wow.
Because I didn't keep dope in the house.
Right. You kept it in cars, yeah.
I kept it in cars.
Yeah, and you just parked the car and ran it.
Yeah, harder to put an dependent on you if it's in a car. Who the car registered to.
Yeah.
They had to see you putting it in the car really to get you.
Right. Okay, so that was your first case, 87. So when was your, let's fast forward to the case in 95, the San Diego case you just mentioned too. Okay, so 87, you catch a case, you go to jail. How long were you home before you went to San Diego and caught the San Diego case?
Well, let me say, the St. Louis case, I beat that case.
Oh, so you beat that one, okay.
I beat that case,
Okay,
yeah.
so you didn't go to jail on that?
I didn't go to jail.
Okay, you just caught the case.
I just got arrested.
Right, but
they arrested me, I bailed out, and, you know, everything was good. The dude who I was living with, he didn't testify against me. He took his charges and went on to jail because it was his fault. He sold to an informant that played for the Cardinals.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how he got set up. So I go to prison again in 88 from Cincinnati.
Okay.
From Cincinnati in Texas. My cousins that I told you about, they got busted at the airport.
Okay.
Came out here and bought some dope. I wasn't messing with him no more. You know, we had cut ties as business partners. But anyway, they came out, got some dope, got caught with it. The cops just threw me on the case.
Oh, so they just threw you on there.
They just threw me on the case.
Right, just made you a part of it, right?
Yeah. What the prosecutor told my lawyer, he said something like this here. Oh, I think we're gonna beat the case. But we're gonna let the jury decide. And my cousin got 40 years.
Oh, damn. And you beat it?
No, I didn't beat that case.
Oh, that's the one you went in for.
I went in for that.
How much time did you do
I took a deal. I took a 10-year deal.
So you got 10. And what year is that? What year did you go in to 10?
That was 89.
So 89, you went in on a bid. When you came home, 94?
Well, and then they took me from there. I went to Cincinnati and got another case.
Okay.
I took another deal.
Okay.
So I get out in 94.
Okay.
And that's when Danilo set me up.
Set you up. Okay, so from 89 to 94, you're inside. You're in jail.
Correct.
Okay, so then you come home 94. Danilo set you up in 95 or was it 94?
94.
How long were you home before Danilo
6
set
months.
You up? Or you was just out 6 months?
Yeah, he tried to set me up the same day I got home. He called me the same day I got home.
And he was working for the American government. He was working for the CIA. He was an informant. He was an informant. He was an informant for the CIA. Yes. And see, so you go to San Diego. You and who was you with? Ali?
Chico.
Ali? You and Chico. And when you get there, they're waiting for you.
Well, they had a trap set up.
They had this trap set up for you.
Yeah, they really played me for 6 months. For 6 months, he's calling me about cocaine constantly. You know, every other day, every 3 or 4 days.
Danilo's calling me every day.
Yeah, offering me dope. You know, oh, I got it for $1,700. At that time, kilos was like 24,000.
24,000. He was offering them for 17.
17, but he went all the way down to 10.
Right, just trying to bait you in.
Trying to bait
you in to come purchase them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And trapping me.
Yeah,
and then when he got with Cheek, he started telling me he was gonna give him credit too. So not only was the price cheap, but you also could get credit.
And you needed it at this point. You was kind of broke.
Well, I didn't really need it. It wasn't my deal.
It was Chico deal.
It was Chico deal. I wouldn't.
So you just kind of helping Chico.
I didn't think that I was really gonna be selling dope. You know, but you never know. You know, when you look at this addictive mentality, you know, you say, oh, I ain't gonna do this here. I'm gonna just get close to it, but I ain't gonna jump in, you know. And I think back to what would have happened if the deal would have went through.
Right.
You know, would I have gotten all the way back in? Would I have said, hey, Chief, just give me 2 or 3 of them?
Right.
You know, let me make some money.
Make some money off of, yeah. Because at that point, you had some real estate investments because you had bought the building on Adams and Crenshaw. You put some money down on that building.
Yeah. So and that was one of the reasons that I was motivated to do the deal, because I was trying to save that building.
That building, yeah, because you're going to make it the West Coast Apollo, right?
Yeah.
And what you put, like $900,000 on it?
Put $900,000 down. I still owe $300,000 on it. I was $30,000 behind on my payments.
On the mortgage, yeah. So that was kind of your incentive to go to San Diego. That was your motivation to kind of
Absolutely.
go try to
I didn't want to lose. I didn't want to lose that $900,000. I didn't want to lose that building. That building had become kind of like my rock house, I guess, where I didn't want to lose it. You know, I want to hold on to this.
Right.
This is my identity. This is what I identify myself with now.
Right.
So I didn't want to lose it. I guess I didn't want to lose it.
Right. So you go in, so you catch the case 95 in San Diego. You get life. The judge gives you can sentence to life.
Life without the possibility.
Without the possibility of parole, and you beat it. You at this time you couldn't read. You were uneducated. You educated yourself while you were in prison and had the conviction sentence reduced to 20 years. Correct?
Yeah. And I got Danilo kicked out the country.
And you got Danilo.
I also found out that a convicted drug dealer who was a foreigner without a green card, without having natural citizenship, cannot be in this country.
Wow. You learned that in jail?
Yeah, I learned it after my trial, though. Had I known that for my trial, he may not have even been able to testify. You know, we'd have to have a big hearing to see if he could even testify. Because technically, from what the law says, when he was on the street talking to me, was all illegal.
Wow.
He shouldn't have been over here talking to me.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have been able to cross our borders.
Right.
So for him to be talking to me was illegal.
Right.
So I felt that, and we argued that the fruit of the poisonous tree, everything that comes from that tree is poison.
It's poison, yeah.
So tainted. You can't use any of it. But the appeals court and the judge said that it was other evidence that would have proved my guilt.
Got it.
But he was my only witness.
He was the only witness, right. So just for some clarity, because there's so many rumors out there, at your height, some say you made $1 million a day, $2 million a day. Clear that up. How much on your height in your best year, what was you making? You really making $3 million a day, $2 million a day?
Not every day, but I've had, 2 or 3 days a month I might make $3 million.
Was that all profit or was that just what you saw?
No, that's just money that go through my hands.
Money that go through your hand, yeah.
Not profit.
Right.
You figure off $1 million bucks, I would probably take from 200 to 300,000
for profit.
Would be mine to keep.
To be yours to keep. Yeah, for that, which is still really good. Yeah. Okay. Well, man, we gonna wrap this up, man. Rick, I really appreciate you coming to chop it up with me, man. You're a legend. You're an icon.
Ghetto called me, you know what I'm saying? And
my
be there, man.
Yeah, we there.
Y'all make sure y'all go by, support my dispensary, man. I got a new dispensary. I need help from as many people as I can get.
Yeah, give them the address. Let them know where it's at so they can pull up on you.
I'm in Los Angeles. The address is 9074 DEGARMO, Sun Valley, California. Also, if you can, go on Google, leave me a Google review. Freeway Ricky's with the S on it for possession. And come by and see your boy, man. It's fly.
Yeah, come check him out. It's real fly. And this is the real Rick Ross. It's not the fake rapper that stole his name and his image. And we didn't get into that, but y'all know the story behind that. This is the real man. This is the genius. This is the guy.
You got into the facts.
Yeah, the facts. The facts that the fake rapper stole his whole name, his whole image, everything, all of that. So, and making millions of dollars off the man's name and don't want to give nothing back to the man and contribute to him. So, and that's just sad and that's pitiful and that's pathetic, just to be totally honest with you. This is the real Rick Ross. So, thanks for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed. One more time, Mr. Freeway Rick Ross. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you coming, man.
All right.